All right, guys, we're back here working on the 2007 Suzuki SV650. We're going to be doing a chain and sprocket on it. So this is the way I do it and the way I'm going to be doing this one. So hope it helps, and please like it, subscribe, share it, all that fun stuff. So let's get started. I'm working on the dark side of the garage, so I'm going to try to have some light over there for you so I can kind of show you what I'm doing as I do it. All right, the first thing we're going to do is remove the gear shift mechanism and the cover here that covers the front sprocket. And we're going to have to remove the clutch lever assembly and everything out of the way so we can get to the front sprocket. And that's where I'm going to start, on the front sprocket, and then we'll work our way back to the rear sprocket and take the rear wheel off, so we can change that sprocket as well. So always do your chain and sprockets together. Never do one or the other, because you're just going to wear both of them out faster. All right, hopefully you can see okay. It's pretty dark, sorry. I did take the gear shifter off. That was a 10 millimeter to take that off. And then I took the cover off. I use a 5/16 to remove that. So now we're going to take this clutch assembly here off and just get it out of the way so we can get to the sprocket and get all this stuff off. I just got this clutch set up properly, but it's got to be done. So let's take this assembly off next. All right, now that we get that broken loose, I just put a zip tie around all that to hold it together, and just have it enough where I can pull it up out of the way like this. I'm going to bend that cable, or bend this washer out. There's a spot that's bent down. I'm going to flatten that back out so we can get this nut off here. This nut's on pretty tight, so I'm going to probably fire up my air compressor and hit it with the compressor, and just to get it off easier than, working yourself to death with the impact or socket. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's take this off. All right, so you want to take the nut off and this star washer here. Get that off out of the way. All right, and now we're going to break the rear wheel loose, and then work on getting, I'm probably just going to cut this chain because my chain breaker snapped on me last time I used it. So I'm probably just going to cut this chain off with a cutoff wheel, and then we'll put the new chain on. All right, so I took the rear bolt off the rear sprocket and slid the wheel forward a little bit to get the chain loose. Just cut the chain off with the cutoff wheel. So now we're going to remove this chain out of the way, and we're going to pull the rear wheel to take the sprocket off, and we'll take the front sprocket off, and we will replace those and get ready to put the new chain on. All right, so I've got the rear wheel off the ground and took the chain off. Now I'm getting ready to pull this rear axle, but you want to make sure you look at the spacer, your caliber holder and everything right here, and kind of check out everything and see how it's all put on, because you may forget or something like that, and you want to make sure you remember where all the spacers go. And over here, let me see, there's a little spacer in the wheel over here on this side as well. So you want to check those before just taking everything apart and then not realize where it goes back together. But get a manual, that will help you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull this rear axle. I'm going to try to see if I can leave the axle hanging in here a little bit and hold all the brake stuff in place. All right, so now we got the wheel off. Don't lay the wheel down right on the brake rotor. prop it up on something like I've got it here. We're going to take this off. It's 14mm bolts around the whole sprocket here. We're going to remove that. One thing I wanted to show you too, I don't know if you can see right here where my fingers are, you can see the angle that the sprocket is worn out. Everything is kind of dug down at an angle, and this sprocket is probably the original sprocket, and this bike has 24,000 miles on it, I believe it is. So it's probably the original sprocket, and no one's ever changed it, and it's pretty bad shape. So we're going to get rid of this sprocket. All right, just wanted to show you the difference between the new sprocket and the old sprocket. The new sprocket, the teeth, have a nice sharp indent there. And I don't know if you can tell very well on this one, but I can. Let me put it on top of the box here. It's still hard to be picked up on camera, but these are all grooved. And it looks almost like they're cut this way. From just being such an old sprocket. So this is a JT sprocket. I've used their chains and sprockets before and have been happy with them. So I'm going to use them again. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Your bolts here inside this little hub assembly that pulls off, they have like little half moons that go down flat. So those go down in the grooves, and you want to make sure those go straight. I checked my bearing. My bearing is good. So we're going to slap this thing back together. And you also have this little collar that sits inside here also. Goes in like that. So remember, you have that as well when you go to put it all back together. Mine just went totally blank on what you call these, but it's to keep the hub from, give you a little bit of play, and not be too crunchy and too hard, but gives you a little bit of play there. And you can use silicone on those to keep them fresh and soft and not get all hard and broken up. So let's put the bolts in. All right, now that we get the sprocket back on, you want to tighten these in a crisscross pattern. I have not tightened them down all the way yet because I've got to look up the torques on them, and I don't have it with me right here. My book's inside. So I'm going to have to look that up later, and we'll torque it. But I'm going to go ahead and put it back on the bike for now and get ready to run. All right, I don't know if you can see this very well under here, but this is your rear brake caliper, the mounting plate. This has a groove cut in it that has to fit. I don't know if you can see it in there, that groove of the swing arm right here. So it has to slide into that. So you're going to have to slide that in and get everything kind of lined up. Make sure your spacers stay in and everything all at once. So sometimes it can be kind of a wrestling match, a little bit of a pain, but usually it's not terrible. All right, guys, back over here on the dark side of the garage. Hopefully you can see okay. We're at the end of the chain here and the other end where they're matching up pretty good. So what we're going to do is we've got some O-rings here. We're going to lube up these O-rings, put an O-ring on the master link, and I use the Rivet type. So we're going to get ready to put these chain pieces together, put the O-rings on both sides of the master link, one on that side, and then one will go on the outside before we put the actual link piece over top of it like this. And then we're going to get ready to mash them together to make the rivet. All right, so I've got these pushed on. I'm going to put a little bit more grease on these O-rings, but I wanted you to be able to see the O-rings before we start pressing the link on over top of it. But what I do also is I get my micrometer and measure the thickness of the two pieces of chain on each side at the links to see how wide they are. And then I try to press this one on about the same width and keep checking it to make sure that you're not pressing this too tight. You want to do it in, slowly, so you're not pressing it too tight and getting this link tighter than these links and cause it to wear weird on the sprockets, and you don't want to wear out your chain. All right, now that you have the link pressed in, and I measured the thickness, and the thickness is pretty close to the same as these two, we're going to smash the rivets in. So we're going to change over to our rivet pin on our Motion Pro riveter here. We're going to line it up, we're going to put it on there, and we're going to press until we get the rivets spread out, and then we'll be done with this part. All right, now we got the rivets pressed out, and the chain rolls smooth through where the rivet was. Everything's working fine, so we're going to go ahead and put the washer and nut back on this front sprocket. All right, guys, so put the clutch mechanism back on. I bent the washer down on the bolt there after I torqued it to 105 foot-pounds. So now we're going to take it off the lift and we're going to adjust the chain. All right, guys, I hope you can see okay. I adjusted the chain to about 28 millimeters. It says it could be between 20 and 30. Yeah, something doesn't look right here. All right, let's